Hello and welcome to Collaboratory. I can't believe I just said that right. Took me like 5 times to practice it. The show where Mike Morris and I improvise an animatic with little help from you in the audience. And doing that, we're going to learn more about the craft of storyboarding along the way. So it's like a game, but it's also fun and educational. And best of all, it's free. Woo!
Free is always good. Free is always good.
So how are you doing today, Mr. Mike Morris?
I am doing well. So, do I officially call you the Bird Brain?
You can call me Z, you can call me Mel, you can call me Mary Eve if you dare try to say my French name. Whatever suits you.
Okay. I'll pick a different one each time.
Okay, that's good. So for those who don't know us, Mike Morris is a pretty cool storyboarder and overall artist, working on different kind of productions. What kind of productions do you work on?
I've worked on
That
a
you can
couple
say.
different kinds. Like I've worked on more like adult comedy. That's mostly what I've worked on. I've worked on some kid stuff, which was fun, and I would love to do more of that. But yeah, I've worked on all kinds of different things. I was even an animation supervisor for a while, which was really cool.
See, folks, that's what I said. An artist of many trades.
Oh, very nice of you.
Though while we're here, because we're here, it's important to note that while I say that Mike and I are artists of many trades, if you're a student starting out, it's great to be a generalist and like know a bit of everything, but don't spread yourself too thin at the start, okay? Find something, nail it, get hired, and then spread out.
That's pretty good advice. I mean,
right?
Well, I think that I just saw you at Lightbox, right? So
yeah,
we didn't have too much of a chance to chat, but that's one thing that was like a big part. That was like almost like a running theme throughout a lot of people that I talked to, was that they were like, "Well, how do I break in? How do I do this? How do I get noticed?"
Don't
and stuff?
break in. What's the word? You
sort of
slither
slide
in, I guess. Yeah, you slide in. That's the word. Thank you.
There you go. But it was like, just get really good at what you do, and because animation is such a compartmentalized field, like you have to sort of pick a discipline. But you're right, like pick that discipline that you want and work really hard toward it.
I think I'd like to rephrase it though.
Huh?
I'm not. So sometimes I rephrase it though, because another thing that can like sometimes not work out exactly is pick something you like and become quote unquote good at it, because sometimes when we are students the thing we want to be good at is like, I want to be a concept artist and do the concept art on the Disney movies. It's like maybe before going into concept art, you need to do like maybe like animation or like scene setup or something, like get your foot in the door.
Right.
So sometimes the advice I give, I mean, it's always different. Like sometimes like there is students that are superstars and we don't know them. If you're one of them or not. Like you have to be honest about it to yourself.
Right.
So like my advice usually is find the thing you are actually already potent at and work on it.
Well, sure. I mean, one of the things I went to Cal Arts years ago, and one of the things that they do for their curriculum that I think is probably the best thing to do as a student is make your own film.
Yeah.
Right. And going back to storyboarding, that's the nuts and bolts. This is where you figure out how to make films, right? Is in boards. And just being able to have that malleability to try a bunch of different things in boards and see what works and see what plays and see what doesn't and figure out where to and what to cut. I think that's one of the biggest skills. And, as an aside to that, I know so many people are like, their dream job is to be a character designer, and that's great. But remember, for every character designer, there's like 4 board artists.
And
So-
45 animators.
Yes.
Let's be honest.
And like a bunch of animators.
And there's nothing bad about doing animation. Like I hear it all the time. Like, oh, like being in design is so cool. Like I don't want to be one of these like low end animators. I'm like, bruh, we animate this stuff. So every job is important. And
Yeah.
um,
And if
Yeah,
you're a
right.
good animator, you are more poised to do better character designs. You're gonna do
exactly. Thank
better
you.
boards, and you're going to be able to understand the process in a way that so many other people don't, and it's
Yep.
going to show. Like if you, especially if you're a character designer, right? How many of you have? I mean, what? Maybe this is to the audience, but to you, especially Mario. How many designs have you seen that come to you, and you're like, this isn't going to work in animation?
Oh well, someone in the audience says Has Been Hotel. That's one of the example where the designs they look great, but sometimes they can be very hard to animate. So it's always like give or take and stuff. So yeah.
Well, sure. Hey, what do you say we recap what we've done, and then we'll take some audience suggestions on how to wrap this little film up?
Of course, yeah. We were having a little small talk. I was waiting for people to come in the chat, but we have a bunch of people now. So hi. I hope you're comfortable. You have some water, some tea, and we're gonna have a cool ride, an airplane ride, right? So what happened in the last episode, Mike?
So this is what happened in the last episode. We had an old style prop jet, airplane rather, not jet, flying through the Transylvanian skies in a short film called Dead Air.
Dead Air.
It's flying through, and then lightning strikes as we fly through this landscape. And we cut in on the pilot, who is a vampire, and he's making small talk with everybody. This is your captain speaking. We are going to be on a wonderful flight, and it is 4:30 in the morning. And he watches he sees his like vampire-esque, not altimeter, but the sort of like the cycling of the moon and sun. And he wipes the dust off it and realizes that it's switching. The dawn. And he quickly calls for his main stewardess. Stewardess, the captain needs you in the cabin. And that's where we left off. So we have a mummy stewardess and a vampire air pilot. So, what are we going to do to wrap this up? Any suggestions? Let's hear it.
So what's the situation right now? Like the mummy's coming in, and is it saying something or is it not saying something?
It probably says only more feminine. Can you do a feminine growl? I can't do one.
She'd probably be like, because
that's pretty good.
That's what they do. Like they just do it. Like it's confidence grow.
Well, so the conflict here that we decided on was that the sun was coming up, and vampires obviously have a problem with sun. So
right.
And because this is not like the sparkly kind of vampires that you find in young adult novels. These are like the old style ones that like burn in the sun.
Okay, so audience, what happens? Are they gonna like turn around? Is the vampire going to like mummify his face that he doesn't burn and become a bunch of like disgusting goo? Does the airplane have like some kind of motorized like blinds that can go? Help us, because we don't know. We need good ideas.
We need your input so we can do this. I think there's some good ideas too, because like there are a couple of different sort of like schools of thought on vampires. There's obviously like the Bram Stoker Dracula, right? And then there's also like sort of the tabletop D&D vampires like Strahd von Zarovich.
Yeah.
And then there's like other vampires that you've seen in various novels that like they sort of are forced to sleep during the day, like it's not a conscious choice.
Well, in my world, vampires, when they get hit by the sun, then turn into little possum roaches. They're like roaches, but they have hair like possums. But they both like trash. That's what happened.
Okay. Some of them like flake off into ash, and it's like more of a process they have to be exposed to for a long time. And then some, like if they see the sun at all, if it gets on them, then they're like poof, dust.
That works.
So there's lots of different things here. So I think maybe what we need to do is just we'll add a shot.
Wait. The red telephone rang. Spectre Abyssal says maybe the mummy can show a button to the vampire who makes solar glasses on the fly. Like maybe there's like a button for emergency glasses for the sun. So that's one of the suggestions we have.
Okay.
And
so we have emergency solar glasses.
Yeah, that's what I got. I think that's what they said.
Okay.
Yeah, solar glasses on the fly. That could be cool.
Okay.
Oh, and Pasha Po on YouTube says they ran out of sun cream, but they can cover windows with werewolf fur. But if they do that, then they can't see anything and must land blindfolded. Oh my god. Okay. So we have two ideas here that could go somewhere.
Okay. I think that might be a combination of the two of them. Maybe one of the stewards is a werewolf, and they just have him come in and like shed everywhere.
They shake him like a little shaky thing and just
they shake him. Okay, that's actually really funny. Okay, so let's do an over-the-shoulder shot. I think, and we're gonna put this on. Let's do the BG first, and we'll have like all of the like instrumentation panel and all of this, and we'll have like the steering wheel. It's like an old school type like that, and we got the dial, and this has the sun and the moon happening like what we saw him with earlier. Some buttons and dials and meters, and because I mean if you look into like a plane cockpit, there's like stuff everywhere. I mean, obviously we don't have time to draw
so many
all
buttons.
Yeah, there's so many buttons and dials and meters and all this stuff, that we just don't have the time to sit there and draw out.
But the only important thing to set up is the perspective, right?
Yes, the perspective is what we really are going for here. Because we're trying to make sure that we can get that right angle that we're looking for. If
there are people listening to us at the moment and you want to do storyboarding, or want to get into storyboarding, it's not so much about like drawing the most amazing, prettiest, most detailed anime characters. Learn your basics about perspective and set grids in your scene. This is going to take you way further than anything else, especially in storyboarding, I think.
Absolutely. No, that's absolutely right. I mean, knowing the basics and how to draw well are going to serve you really well. Because honestly, like there's stuff that I've drawn in working on boards I never thought I would ever draw. So as a board artist, you can't just stick to drawing your favorite stuff. Yep. You have to be able to be very versatile. You have to be able just to draw whatever comes your way. So be an avid student of life and look around you and see what's going on. And, that way you can have sort of a visual bank of reference to draw from of real life things,
A great storyboarder and director once told me back when I wanted to get into storyboarding, I changed path, but I still enjoy it. He said, it's Chris Pern, by the way, the guy who like works on like the cloudy chance meatball thingy.
Oh yeah, Chris Pern's great.
Right? He's amazing. Love the
I don't
guy.
know him personally, but I admire his work.
Yeah. And he told me great storytellers have stories to tell, meaning artists get out of your basement and start living. You have to experience life if you want to be able to tell life. And I was like, that is some great advice. Because
Yeah.
there's so much you can tell from just going to the store, doing your groceries, and coming back. That's an adventure on its own, right? So get out and,
Yeah, and you
and
know
do
what?
stuff.
Take the time to really, observe around you, right?
Yeah.
That's something that, Sherlock Holmes always talked about was like observing. Don't just look, observe.
Observe. I want a shirt that says that. With a dubious looking animator being like, don't just look, observe.
Mhm.
These are some good advice. Thank you so much. So, what are you drawing now? Is it a worried vampire?
Yeah, it absolutely a weird vampire.
Look at that face. Oh my god.
We talked about this last time. He sort of suffers from Simpson's mouth.
Oh, chat says maybe they can open an emergency cupboard with anti-solar light in it. I think that's what they mean with like the glasses. You know, when you're in an airplane and the what is it? Like the pressure drops, and then there's like these things that fall from the cabin
Oh
on top of
yeah.
the glass. Maybe they can be like glasses. What if it's glasses and they just don't work because they're too cheap?
He gets burned anyway.
Like, what kind of glasses are these? My eyes are burning, and then he's blind.
Okay, let's have this. He's got his epaulets happening here, and then I think maybe he's going to use this other hand to point to the dial, right?
Yeah. Oh, and I can see as you're drawing, your pencil doesn't have much pressure in it, which is very interesting because if you want to do animation and storyboard and stuff, one great exercise that you can do is try to draw with a brush that has no pressure because it's going to make you focus on something else. It's a very good exercise. Glad you're showing this today, Mike.
Well, thank you. I think mostly because of a driver error, but we do what we can. I mean, when people weren't doing these as much digitally, or when you're in like a meeting or something, there's just a bunch of
Sharpies.
Sharpies, and if you're at a like fancy animation studio, they'll have those like really nice like animation paper pads that you can do story sketches on.
What?
Like
Amazing.
Oh yeah, they're great. I would love to get my hands on some of those. They're expensive though. or for the rest of us, we just use Post-it notes.
Post-it notes are the best. You know they used to make this in a almost HD format, but I haven't seen them anywhere now. I think they discontinued them, but they were just the perfect size, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. I remember those. So
It was amazing.
we're gonna do a start pose first, though. We are going to, because obviously he's not facing that same direction in this first shot, so we have to adjust the shot to work with what we already have in the previous frame. That way we do, and for those of you who are new to this term, it's a hookup.
I thought it was match cut. Thank you for correcting me.
A match cut is different.
I know, now I remember.
Very different. A match cut is when you have two scenes of varying size, right?
Yeah.
So you have a scene. So, and this is a paper term. We used to do this on The Simpsons when we were on paper all the time. Is when you have like what's called a field, right? So
yeah,
actually,
like going from like a 4 field to like a 9 field or something.
Yeah. So here we have a field guide, right? So you're wondering what this is for.
Yeah, what is a field guide, Mike?
Huh?
What is a field guide? Because we both know what it is, but maybe the younger audience here has never seen that.
So A field guide was a way to chart your camera moves, right? So say you have a scene, and right here we have a 16 field right now. See, so this here is a 16 field frame.
That is fancy because usually it used to be 12. 16 was
Used-
fancy, the
It
big
used to be
paper.
12. You're right. It used to be 12. But say you needed to plot a camera move, and your scene, went over several different, like say you have a pan or something like that. You could have a let's see. So we have numbers here. Let's go with an 8 field. So we'll go 8 to 8 to 8 to 8, and there, and that's an 8 field, right? So say you wanted to go from this part, and of course you were limited by the size of the paper. That's no longer an issue,
Yep.
especially with stuff like Harmony. So you would have a start panel right here. Let's copy and paste that. Oh, that's not what we want. That's something that I copied and pasted earlier. So copy and paste that, and I'm gonna turn that red. And say the camera move would end here, right? So that would be an 8 field to 8 field, and then the middle point here would be where you would give your instructions to the cameraman. All right.
Yeah.
So that's the basics of a field chart. And that's what it was for. And this is obviously like a 4:3 ratio. So it would be different. You'd have different field charts, but it would still be done the same way. In that you would use the middle point of this field to plot the distance between the two camera panel frames.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yep. Yeah, so now where are we going with this?
All right, so we've got him. We've hooked up the artwork. Now we have to incorporate those ideas that were given to us generously. So I think what we need to do is take this drawing here. We need to paste or copy this and paste it just like that. What we're going to do is we're going to cut in on this. So let's get rid of the captain right here for the most part. He is turned around anyway, but we're just gonna block him in because he's not necessarily integral to this shot. But if there's going to be any like remnant of him, or maybe we see just part of the shoulder as we cut in, we still want that to sort of be there, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's get our camera out, and we'll turn the field guide off because that can be distracting. Or you know what, we can just do this sort of over the shoulder type thing.
Oh, maybe.
Where he's still looking at her very desperately, pleading for a solution.
Help me. Okay, so does chat says anything?
So that is not good framing right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to do camera move. We're going to start with this. Right? So we see this here, and then we're going to go with our mummy over to somewhere off screen. I like it so. And then we're going to cut this right in the middle. So we have two panels. Then we're going to take this little, our zombie friend, or mummy friend, and we're going to have her go after some sort of, some off-screen lever, right, that we didn't see before, but it's cartoon, so it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter at all.
Cartoon magic, yo.
Of course.
Helmet. And she's walking over there.
And she would definitely stumble because I don't think she has a solid footing.
No, of course not. Absolutely. All right. And we understand who that is. Then we're going to just delete that. She's going to come over and reach up and pull on this lever. We're going to cut that scene up a little bit and then have her move over here. We just need to add that and duplicate that, and then have her pull down on this pull string. All right. Pulls down on it. And I think we're going to reuse this here. We're going to cut back out to this original scene.
Oh, reusing. That's a beautiful word.
Yes, it is.
Why is reusing so important in storyboarding?
Well, I think it gives you a certain efficiency, right?
Right?
Like you only have so much time, especially in TV boarding. There's only so much time that you have, so you have to use as much time efficiently as possible. So we're gonna do the hookup, and then we're gonna have her turn and look, and we're gonna manipulate around a couple of things. Come on. There we go. And I think we'll have him look up like there's some sort of sound.
Spect Abyssal is asking, but where is the plane going? Do you know? Maybe you can tell us. Where do you think the plane's going?
Yeah, I think she should tell us where the plane's going.
Yeah.
We never established where it was going. So we need to reset the camera over here, and we're going to do that by grabbing this keyframe from the camera, and we're just going to straight up paste it. So now we have that same framing. Actually, you know what? Maybe we'll just go in and reset that framing altogether, because I feel like we need to be a little bit wider here. So let's reset the framing a little bit so we can see it wider, and we can see everything going on.
I mean, that's what storyboard is for. It's supposed to try stuff. So yeah, you have to erase and redo and reframe and whatnot. Don't get attached to your babies, people.
So, and then we're going to have sunglasses pop down from here. Just like so. And then we're going to copy that. And I'm going to have to redraw this head. I'm going to turn on my onion skin really quick just so I can see the head in the previous scene. Because he's now going to be wearing sunglasses. And let's color that in so we see that they're proper sunglasses. So he looks up, sunglasses fall down. Boom. But now we see at the front of the plane, the dawn is rising.
Oh no.
And this would be another one of those like BiPAC situations. For somebody who hasn't seen the stream before, and we've mentioned BiPAC before, but a BiPAC stems, again, originally from that camera stuff that we had talked about before, where you would have basically two sets of field guides doing two different camera moves, right? Because one, this panel here that we see, that's the the instrument panel and all of that, and then we would have the background behind it, which would actually be moving forward, right? So we're going to see these crazy hills of Transylvania represented here. But that would be moving forward toward the camera. And then we're going to see the light of dawn start to shine forward. Oh, and let's make that a different color to differentiate from the background. Because it's sort of getting lost. We don't want that to get lost. Sometimes we just need to give it a separate color, and that will do the trick.
Yeah.
And help it be readable. Because, and we've said this before, like storyboarding is about communication. So you have to be able to communicate well. And if we had time, we would, put some tone over the cockpit. But let's forego that for now. Actually, you know what?
Good advice. Keep tone for where it really counts.
You know what? But since now we have this tool here where you fill it, where it fills in, auto fills in. You know what? I think that's less of an issue now. All I have to do is do this.
You're welcome for that tool.
Make sure it's closed off, and now I've got the tone, and I don't have to sacrifice. So there we go. Now I can do this BG here. I'm going to do a little bit of layer motion and have that start there. Push end on my keyboard and have that moving forward like that. Put it down just a little bit too. So when we see it now, we're seeing things come into focus. And also, we're going to raise the camera a little bit too. I think that'll help it. Yeah, that's a more of a point of view type shot. Okay. And let's go back to this one. I'm going to duplicate this one again. And I'm going to move it over here so it's a new shot now. And then he's looking at it, and I think that we're going to have just a little bit of shadow fall right behind him. Let's go on his layer. Good. So we see that there's a difference, right? See that there's something going on. And at first, maybe he's like, all right, yeah, that's great. This is working. We'll give him maybe like a confident smile. Hey, yeah, sunglasses. Problem solved.
He loves it.
And maybe we even give him a little glance back at the stewardess.
Jack Rabbit in the chat says, now he's gone from normal to cool in just one frame with those sunglasses.
Yeah, that was our whole goal. We just wanted to make cool vampires at this collaboratory.
Yeah.
And maybe he gives a little vampire thumbs up. You know, it's working. Again, we're thumbnailing, so we're not going to make it pretty, but we're going to make it readable. It's got to communicate still. All right. So sunglasses seem like they're doing the trick. Let's duplicate that frame. And then it starts. Sizzling.
Oh no! Have you seen these old
these sunglasses are not going to totally help.
Oh no.
And that's when the werewolf gets brought in to shed all over the... Okay.
Oh no.
Sizzle.
Poor guy.
And then freak out. Well, remember, don't forget your anatomy when you're drawing this stuff. Even if you're drawing like crazy poses, having your shoulders in the right place when you're drawing still makes sense.
It is pretty important.
Even if you're doing like big hands and flailing arms and all of that good stuff, his epaulets are everywhere. And we're gonna cheap out and do like this like movement thing instead of freaking out doing the whole posed out freak out. And this is where like animation experience comes in handy. You'll be able to articulate those moments where you really have to sell an idea, right? Since we're doing it in thumbnails right now, it's not as big of a deal. But if you were to like present a storyboard to, some producers or something like that, you would want to like articulate those important moments.
What do you mean by articulate?
I mean, fill them out. Like, make sure that scene is absolutely readable. You want to, if that's where the comedy is, you want to show it.
Yep. Oh, another tip: when you draw boards, usually, from what I've seen, it's easy to just put like, for eyes, you do them very, very roughly, and like the direction is not that clear, so that when it hits animation, then the animator is like, "Whoa, where is that supposed to look at?" And then it gets hard for us. So I think the advice that I got learning storyboarding was like, always at least make sure that like the eye white and the pupil are there. Like, because otherwise in board it's easy because a lot of the information is missing. But when you actually need to clean it up and do the animation, it's like that bit is missing and would have been important.
Like that doesn't work. Especially if you're working with a contract studio, they can't read your mind. And
they're doing their best, but
And you know what? Actually, they are hedging their bets that you got it right.
Yep.
So so what the problem becomes is if the board isn't like airtight, if it's not bulletproof and you've sent in stuff that you didn't really mean, thinking, oh, they're going to interpret it and know what I mean. No, they won't. They're going to do what's on the board, and it's going to come back, and the retakes director is going to say, hey, this is not what we want. But the animators are going to come back and be like, well, this is what you sent us, so this is what we did. Now you got to pay for more stuff. And then the producer is going to be like, hey, what happened here?
And most importantly, this is not because the animators are lazy. It's because animators, usually they're hired to do that thing, animate. And when people pay lots of money to get their storyboard done, they did it for a reason, and they want animators to follow it. So we're not being lazy. We just follow what we need to do. So always keep that in mind, folks.
and they are going to follow it to the T because that's what you sent them. So that's what they think you want. So you have to make sure that you put what you actually want on the screen, or it's not going to show up.
But There is such things as overboarding, and maybe we can talk about that in another time. But
Oh,
you see a
sure.
lot of, you see so many of these quote unquote animatics on Twitter and whatnot that these things are not animatics, they're rough animation.
Sure.
But people call that storyboarding and animation, and who does that hurt? Everyone in the pipeline. Because if you
It
have too
does.
many drawings, yeah, if you have too many drawings in your board, then the editor is having a nightmare trying to edit it and stuff. So sometimes less is more as well.
Okay.
Hey, we only have 10 minutes left. This thing goes so fast. And we've learned so much. Incredible.
We often run out of time. Okay, so we have him freaking out, and we're gonna bust through this.
Yeah.
So maybe he starts being set on fire a little bit. He's ah.
Yeah. And I mean, the goal of this is to learn more about storyboarding. If we finish the story another time, we finish it another
So
time, right?
oh no, we only have two, so we would move on to
Oh,
a new thing
no.
next. All right, so we're gonna keep in this going with economical storyboarding. We're gonna keep in this thing here, but we are going to cut in on. We're gonna cut in on our mummy stewardess.
What if the mummy lands the plane because the guy is blind?
Um, I think there's something about that grabbing the werewolf and shaking him.
Okay,
that I
well, you
think
have 10 minutes.
well.
Go. Chrono.
Okay,
Let's do this. Speed
go.
mode. Speed run.
Speed run. That's right. Now we're gonna cut in close on her, and then in this frame we're gonna just see like some smoke rising, and then of course off screen we would hear the ah, and her just standing there going So, oh, sorry, Mariev, that was yours, or Z.
The
That
what?
that was your line. The groan. I did the groan. That was your line. Sorry.
Ah. It's okay. I don't think there's such things as a Mr. or Lady Mummy grunt. I think they all grunt the same way.
So she turns her head almost all the way around.
Or maybe she goes, oh. Who knows?
Maybe she likes vampires being on fire.
Oh boy. That's a
She's
whole
gonna
kind of worm that I don't
get
want to
some
open.
marshmallows. You know, make cookout out of it.
I don't know. That's kind of gross.
Undead. What do you want?
Ah!
These are the things that eat people's brains, right?
True.
Okay, so we cut in on her. She looks over and grabs something off screen, and I think we can duplicate this frame and come back here to full frame. And maybe we can just take this drawing here of the vampire and like change it around just a little bit using the vectors.
Yeah, that's great.
So we can create virtually new artwork out of old artwork.
That is great and efficient. And smart.
And then we'll just, make this look as new as possible without having to actually create new artwork. And then we're going to take this drawing here and we're going to hook it up to the other by pulling that in there and paste it. And then duplicate that.
Uh-huh.
Then she is going to pull in the werewolf.
That's a fun board.
See, let's have him be kind of short. I think I want him to be like a little shorty short. Maybe even he still has like a drink tray or something. He's got a little suit on. So she's holding the mod. As this guy continues to burn.
Oh no.
And I think that we're going to do new shot, because we actually need it for this one.
I love that face. And the werewolf is so good.
So we're going to take her here, and we're going to put it on a different layer so we can have a little bit of malleability in our drawing. This is the zombie mummy here, and she is going to hold him out.
Oh, and Isaac Nunes says combustion time. Oh no. Oh, we have hello from our Argentina. So there's people from everywhere watching us today. That's so fun.
Awesome. Well, we love you guys. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us for a while. Okay, we're gonna put him a little bit better in frame. So whoop, and then make him just even shorter.
He's a tiny, tiny werewolf, very shakeable.
Very shakeable. He's super shakeable. That's why we love him.
Yeah.
Bandages and all that good stuff. And second arm. He's holding up his tray. Little legs dangling. And we're just gonna do some blur frames here of.
You can do blurs in Storyboard Pro. That's amazing. How do you do that?
This is how knowing some animation tricks really helps you,
right?
In boarding, because you have the idea of multiples when you draw, right?
Yep.
So you have this idea of how to accomplish this effect, And if you know a little bit about how to accomplish the effect in actual frame by frame, you're going to be better suited to do it when you're boarding. I mean, you can go to fake it when you're boarding, but it's often better if you know how to do it just already. So, and one thing that you can do to even help it, give it a little bit more life, is just tilt it back a little bit. Just give the mummy a little bit of life too, right?
Yeah, because she needs to counterbalance that heavy, small werewolf weight.
Exactly. And again, this is where learning, a little bit about each part of the process really is beneficial. So be a well-rounded artist. I mean, you can be a storyboard artist, or you can be a designer, or you can be whatever, but I think it's best to really know a little bit about everything.
Yep. And
you can be way more suited to be a well-rounded artist. And you know what? You're more employable that way.
Yeah, because if your studio doesn't have exactly a Storyboard Pro gig now, well, maybe you can just do a bit of animation in between or something. So it just makes you, especially if you're in a smaller environment. I know for a union job and in the States, sometimes it's a bit different. But in Canada, in a studio, I've done board, FX, comp, and rig at the same place. So never stop learning.
Well, I mean, I've done stuff when I was on DuckTales. I got to do a little bit of promotional art.
Right, I remember you told me that.
And that was fun because I got to see the artwork I had done hanging up at Cartoon at CTN Expo, and it was hanging over the booth, and that was just super cool to be able to say, yeah, I did that. Okay, now we're gonna have like hairs coming off of this guy.
I hope he's not allergic to dogs.
I hope he's not too, because that would be pretty awful. Maybe
unfortunate.
Maybe it would. Maybe he should be allergic.
Oh no!
We'll give him a tail too, because he needs.
We have 5 minutes to wrap this up, though. So.
Okay, so we're turning and burning. Turning and burning. So shake.
Speed run.
And then we're gonna cut back to this. And we're going to copy, and we're going to paste.
What?
And we're going to change around some
but
stuff.
That's cheating. Ew, copy pasting? No one does that. No, everybody does it. Everybody does it. It's great. Do it.
So we're going to have this here. I'm going to copy that, and we're going to paste it. And we're going to change it. So where we have the multiple eyeballs, multiple noses, being chicken, and then just all sorts of, and you could like make a brush for all this stuff.
Yep.
And I'm not gonna do that at the moment. I'm just gonna make a bigger.
But you could.
But you could make all kinds of brushes.
And if you want to learn how to do that, I do have a video on my YouTube channel. What? So great.
And you should check out the Bird Brain on
YouTube. So much.
You should. I've learned quite a bit off of that in my search to become, or my efforts to become a better Harmony user.
Hey, I've learned quite a bit making my videos, because sometimes I would ask questions, be like, oh, how do we actually do that? And then make a video about it. So, never stop learning.
It's true. Because, and the technology moves so fast. I mean,
it does.
I mean, there's some new editions of Storyboard Pro and Harmony out with new features.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, those are things that are going to be something you're going to need to keep up with.
Yeah. So cool.
Because, I mean, one of my biggest things was from Storyboard Pro 20 when we brought in that tool that will help, close off shapes.
You're welcome, by the way. That was me.
Oh, was that you?
It was me insisting. I'm like, I want that. It's so important. Put it in.
Well, you did a fantastic job in that case.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to just take some of these hairs and
so much hair everywhere.
And paste them and flop them and copy and paste them again and then flop them and change them and move them and then add more.
Yeah.
With bigger brushes, right? Because we want to basically cover this whole thing in werewolf hair. As this poor werewolf is getting all the fur shaken off of. And then we're going to go to an old shot of the dawn right here. We're going to take this and we're going to copy it. Oops, we don't want to cut it. We want to copy it. And then we're going to paste it. Now, instead of that, we're going to put a sunglass-sized view of everything around. Everything else is just going to be hair.
Oh my.
Oops. You know what? That's fine. And I'll just cut it out with the eraser. All right. Now we're going to go back to inside the cockpit. Let's go back to an earlier one where we have a little bit more. Let's see. Go back to this one. We're going to copy that, and we're going to paste it. And we are going to go to the vampire. And this guy is going to look bald and wide-eyed. Tilt his head a little bit. Then we're going to have the vampire here, hiding.
You have 1 minute left. 1 minute left. We are over time. Oh my god.
Oh, over time. I don't like that. Okay, so there's a couple things that we need to plug first before we go. We've already plugged your YouTube channel, The Bird Brain.
Yeah.
We also need to plug Animation Dance Party.
You're right. So what is that? Can you tell us, please?
Animation Dance Party is something that we're sponsoring with Toon Boom and Wacom and ArtStation and MSI Computers. And it is a little animated dance jam / competition. So head over to the link in the chat, which has been provided for you. Our wonderful producer, Janelle, is put that on the chat. And head on over, and what we're looking for are dance cycles to add to a digital dance floor. And we're going to have everybody there dancing all together, and they will be judged by expert judges. This fine is a bird brain included. And you could have a chance to win some pretty fabulous prizes by just doing a dance cycle and turning it in. But you have very little time to do it. So make sure we extended the deadline because of Lightbox.
Yeah, we did.
Because there was a lot of people that were sort of having a tough time keeping up with both their portfolios for Lightbox and doing the dance party. So we figured, you know what? There are people, we want to make sure that they have the best chance possible to submit to the dance party. So we are going to extend the deadline for them. And
so nice.
That was extending to all. So get your dance cycles in, and we hope that we can see you on the dance floor. So
yeah.
We're going to put, we're going to get our racer out.
You have 60 seconds left, Mike. Things are gonna blow now. Oh no.
Okay. So he's gonna get up and see that everything's okay. We're going to go back to this here.
Okay, 60 seconds off. Now you have to say goodbye.
All right. Well, it was fun. Let's do just a quick recap of everything,
Sure.
and then we'll be done. All right. So we have our airplane flying through, and I'm gonna put this in the camera view.
Yeah. Do it.
All right. Brr, dead air. Brr, lightning flashes as we hit to the captain. This is your captain speaking. We are heading into the last bits of our flight. It is 4 a.m. in the morning. 4 a.m. in the morning, and he sees the meter going. The dawn approaches.
Oh no.
Oh, stewardess, we need our assistant in here. Comes in. The dawn. That's you again. And then boom, sunglasses. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's good, right? Werewolf.
Grabs this guy.
Shaky.
And then hair gets everywhere. Next thing we cut to the whole dashboard is now covered in hair. And it's dark in there. All right.
Yeah, that's good. You did fantastic.
Excellent
Oh my god, good job.
solution.
Thank you, everyone. It was great. Proud of everyone.
Thank you for audience suggestions. We always get some really fun boards because you guys suggest the wackiest stuff, and I freaking love it.
Yeah, they do.
All right, you guys. So make sure get your dance cycles in for Animation Dance Party. You can do them in lengths of 24, 48, or 96 frames. 1 second, 2 seconds, or 4 seconds, respectively. So, again, check out the link on the chat, and we will see you all very, very soon on our next Collaboratory.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. So, with all that said, bye-bye.
Bye.